We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Good morning, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Oh, man. Okay, there we go. How are you, crew? Can I get a 5x5, please? If I could catch a 5x5, that would really make me feel good. I'd like to know that you can actually hear me. Thank you, M. Hunt. Appreciate you. All right, peeps. Let me tell you about this morning. I tell you that Mark Wages is he is a brother and a friend. So we're talking about how we're going to try to frame this so that the lifeboat doesn't go off in a couple of different directions and lose its identity. And Mark had some great ideas, and we were talking about how we're going to probably dedicate the early show in the morning to sobriety and subjects that are uniquely sobriety, things that don't have anything to do with decriminalization or any of some of the edgier stuff, which will probably end up being at night. And we talked about that last night, and Seventh Son actually gave us the blessing and said, so be it. All right, that decision is made. Let's roll, which I thought was probably a pretty good way to handle it. So Mark and I talked about a couple of other methods that are pretty good ideas. Tanya, good to see you. Thank you so much. Be the change you want to see. I love it. I really do. I love it. It is a good idea, and it's going to give people an opportunity who don't want to hear anything about the politics of drugs to pick and choose what they want to catch. On the bright side, there's so much stuff that people can go back and see that you could show up at 5 o'clock and watch an old show. It doesn't have to be something that you come and catch a live. There is going to be some other things that, Brandon, good to see you. Full of Hope, good to see you. So that looked like a pretty good idea and something that was going to work. So I started to play with some of the other ideas that Mark had suggested, and I will be explaining those out in greater detail, probably this afternoon or tomorrow. And I came down at 4 o'clock, and I typed in StreamYard to get the ball rolling. But I didn't get StreamYard. I got I got, sorry, people, I can't think of the name of the other app. It's the one that didn't work for us, so we ended up going with Streamlab. And I accidentally put on the wrong one. And then I went, oh crap, that's not it. So I backed out of it, typed in StreamYard, and hit launch and got everything ready. And I couldn't get the camera to come on. No matter what I did, for the better part of 40 minutes, I continued to try to get this thing rolling. As it turns out, when I turned on the first one, the camera was locked on. So when I backed out of it and I came to StreamYard and turned it on, it wouldn't accept the camera because the camera was on the other platform. And this is not a concept I could understand. So I ended up shutting down the entire computer at about 30 minutes in. And again, these things that just make me feel like I am an absolute idiot. But I, fortunately, when I shut everything down, I shut down every tab. I closed out and backed out of everything. And right at that time, a gentleman that I know from prison, not Q, a guy that's kind of a computer genius, had just phoned me really early. Hope he didn't wake up anyone else in the world, but he phoned me and said, man, get every single tab you have shut down. Turn everything off. Because I said to him, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. He said, shut down every tab, back everything out, make sure everything is turned off. He said, because I'd be willing to bet that your camera is on somewhere else. I said, no matter how many times I hit camera, well, it's exactly what it was. Yeah. Oh, OBS. I was in OBS Studio is what I originally typed in. And the format looks very similar. Because I now pay for this stuff, I don't see the StreamYard duck. So to me, this looks identical. So I didn't really understand the two of them. And then once I realized I was in OBS, I was like, damn. So I typed in StreamYard, but the microphone and the camera were still on in OBS. So no matter how many times I tried setting up the stream or doing anything, it just wouldn't let me turn on audio and video. And I was cursing and losing it. So I just sat down and just said, you know what, even if I don't get this stream up, it's not the end of the world. I just got to calm down. And big shout out to Austin that said to me, I guarantee your camera is on somewhere else. So when I went and looked at the tab at OBS, sure as hell, there was I was in the window, right? A little window that you all are seeing now. I was in OBS, and you can't do two of those at the same time. So that's what happened. Embarrassing. I am not a YouTuber. Sadly, I'm not. I'm a speaker. I'm not a YouTuber. So remain calm. Good idea. John Doe. Good idea. And it's something that I need to work on. It's really something that I need to work on. But we're going to make the early show every morning. This is going to be just about issues concerning rehab and every aspect of rehab and what it means to stay sober. Things that we have gone over literally 750 times. There will be times where there are going to be some people more intelligent than myself who are going to take a couple of those older videos and edit them so that some of the better stuff that I did, or some of the better stuff that Mark did, or some of the better stuff that anyone has done, I will be able to comment on while so I'll throw a switch and some of the other stuff will come on. The lifeboat on Rumble. Thank you, Joanna. I pay for StreamYard, but I don't know how to get rid of the darn duck. The shotgun probably is not going to help. Well, it would get rid of the duck. I'm not sure how it would help with the live stream. It's really funny that that I get the piece of advice from John Doe that says remain calm, because that's really all I want to talk about today. Yesterday was a really tough day. Last night's live stream is not one I'm going to look back on fondly. It's I'm not. There's nothing wrong with emotion, and I don't have a problem showing emotion. I think I've probably demonstrated that over a pretty long period of time, that I'm cool with that view. I'm cool with allowing people to view that aspect of me. That said, it was just a really, really tough thing. I wish that I had the conversation prior to going live. I do really well. Honestly, I do really well with my dad and the loss of him. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that my memory, the hypothesmia I had as a child, people, Mark especially, says very often, Papa Scoville never said, he just gave so much really good advice. I'm of the firm belief that most parents who are active in their kids' lives say a lot of really good advice. It's just that most kids don't remember it. And up until the age of about 14 or 15, maybe even 16, I didn't forget anything. So there was just so much of what Papa Scoville left me that that is really a part of my life. I can remember where he was when he said it. I can remember the smells. I can remember what was on the radio or the television. Like my memory as a child is really bizarre. Hyperthesmia is it's a very odd thing, and it's a difficult thing to explain to most people, because it's I just remember things differently. I don't know how else to explain that a whole lot better than that, but it's that you don't really forget anything. Like all of your senses are really sort of hyper focused. Those that came at a cost, and some of the stuff that I do with my brain that everybody does with their brain, I struggle with mightily. It's embarrassing to say, but if I was yesterday at the Department of Motor Vehicles, I could have screwed that up 400 times. I'm not exaggerating. It made me feel like I was 5 years old and couldn't read. That I said to the woman 60 times, "Which line am I signing? Please say this one more time." And I understand it's not their fault. They see 100 people a day, at that window, 200 people a day at that window. So they continue to say, you need to sign line 1, 5, 3, and 5, and then you need to write on this. And there was so much that just made the process bizarre. Okay, I need you to write in here your name, and then I need you to sign your father's name. I'm like, you want me to sign my dad's name? You don't want me to write it. You want me to put it in as a signature? Yeah, I want you to sign it. And nothing made sense. And one of the things that she said is, and then you need to write in line 4, frères. And I kept saying, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm writing what? Frères. And I don't want to be rude. And I said, frères. She said, yes. You have any idea what I'm saying? Because I didn't have any idea. And I have a damn fine vocabulary. I'm going, frères. She said, yeah. I go, can you spell that word for me? She goes, it's 2 words. I go, 4 heirs, as in I am his heir. And she said, yeah. I mean, the way she was wording it did not make sense what I should, but the frustration, and I was letting it get to me. And I said to this woman, I need to go to the car and check to see if I have an insurance card. And she said, well, we don't need that yet. I said, I'll be right back. And I know I turned what was an hour and 25-minute ordeal into an hour and 55-minute ordeal because I just had to bail away from the situation on 3 different occasions, because that's a huge thing in my bag of tricks. You know, when I start feeling like I'm losing it, then I get out of there. I go outside, I get a big breath of fresh air, maybe a little nicotine, and then just sort of I try to calm down, and then I walk back in, and it was just so with all of that going on. And then she said, I need your dad's driver's license number. Do you happen to have that? My dad's driver's license is in my wallet. Fortunately, he had 2 of them. I'm not exactly sure why, because I don't think either were expired, but Johnny has one and I have the other. And we both, keep it. And I have a wallet that has a place for 2 IDs. Kind of, I don't know, maybe they thought that whoever owned it might be a police officer, because it's one of those things that you could flop open almost like a cop badge. And there's 2 places to, so my dad's ID is in there, and pulling it out and looking at it was just all at once, I just got hit with 50 memories. I'm not exaggerating, that things that he said, the situations that we were in that were similar. My dad was not a big fan of places like the Department of Motor Vehicles at all. He was not tolerant of civil servants very often. He was usually one to not suffer fools gladly. And and there was my dad's face staring up at me, and all of my dad's wisdom sort of tumbling in. And it was almost auditory. It was almost like I could literally hear him. And unfortunately, it wasn't like I could hear him clearly and coherently. It was like I was just having a cascade of all of the things that my dad had said to me in situations like that rolling in at once. And I was toggling back and forth between wanting to just sob like a child and laugh hysterically, because some of the stuff that my dad said was pretty funny. So I just went on overload yesterday. And then when I get home and find out that I've got to drive over to adult probation, I called them instantly and said, hey, I'm supposed to have 24 to 48 hours or to come in and report any change, vehicle, anything like that. Tomorrow's Saturday. Do I really need to get down there in like the next hour and a half? Because this is going to be a very difficult thing. And the secretary said, let me get a hold of your PO, because my PO didn't answer the phone. And she said, and I'll let you know. Sadly, she couldn't get a hold of my PO. And as I'm getting closer to, the holy crap hour, like, I'm not risking, because this is literally a violation. And the way a violation works in the feds, like, I've done nothing wrong, right? I haven't farted, pardon me, since getting on federal probation. I've never failed a drug test. I've never failed a random. I've never missed a test. I am flawless. And I just filed paperwork for my freedom. And I mean, literally just filed paperwork. Like, I hired an attorney the day before. And I just got in the car and ran over there. To have them, if it's a violation, I go to jail. Now, I go to jail until I see a judge who would go, this guy hasn't done anything wrong. Really, he got thrown in jail because he did. But that's the policy. So I'm driving down there at like speeds that could get me probably put in prison. And then I get there and I'm like, I walk in the door. It was about 10 after 4. I get to the door of the court and I go running into adult P&P, and I'm like, thank God. Of course, I need you to take off your belt. I need you to take off everything that they could do, right, to slow me down. And I didn't take my watch off. And the guy's like, you need to take off your watch. Well, I was wearing my dad's, the watch that my dad left me, which, this may sound crazy to you, will not set off a metal detector. The type of steel that Rolex used for the Rolex Submariner in 1985 will go through a metal detector. This is something I have tested 10,000 times. And I said to the guy, sir, it's not going to set off. I need you to take the watch off. And I'm just trying to get the doors right there, right? I just to get through this metal detector. So I take it off and I set it down on the deal, and I go walking through the metal detector. And as the stuff is going through the little X-ray machine, the guy's backing it up and looking at it and backing it up and looking at it. Inside my wallet are 2 strips of Suboxone, because I will forget to take it all the time. And Suboxone comes in foil packets, and these foil packets they're not radio opaque. So the guy says to me, "Can you take out the 2 things?" I said, "Oh, for the love of God, like just throw them in the trash. I'm trying to get in that room." I took a deep breath. I pulled them out. Then I had to he goes, "And what are these?" I said, "They're a medication." In my wallet is a card that says I'm allowed to take that medication. So I had to show him that. And while I'm having this conversation and getting all of this stuff back from the metal detector, a person walks through, got nothing on him, no wallet, no nothing, walks through in that door and takes my position. And people, I am just not, I'm telling you, I'm not you guys see me at my best. You never see me at my worst. And yeah. So I go in there and there's a person in front of me, and this person has like the questions, and this person, God bless him, is in deep crap. Like they're going to handcuff this person. He's not walking out of this room. He's failed all his tests. It was me the last time I was on probation. He was in begging to not be taken to jail because he got the phone call that said, "You need to be down here today." So there's 3 people on staff. 2 of them are going to handcuff this guy, take him away, take him to jail. So I'm standing there. All I need to do is get a piece of paper and write the new license plate number on it and walk out. By the time I walked out of adult probation, I was so deeply in relapse, I can't explain it to you. I don't mean using, but I am so far off the beaten path in terms of control. And this is a conversation I probably should have had yesterday. But there was no hope for me yesterday. There was no hope for me yesterday. I was really wrapped up in my father, and even on the ride home, I'm driving really fast. I'm trying to get there, and my brother sent me a text and said, "Hey, you ready for the show?" I'm like, "I'm in traffic. Like I'm not even, I'm not making the show." I know that if I'm 45 minutes late for the show, nobody on the lifeboat's ever going to go, "Boy, Tommy's a dick. And I can't believe he pulled that." But there's something about routine that is a really important thing for me. So as I'm struggling with all of this and driving home, and I popped on to tell you guys I'm going to be late. I don't want all of the people that show up at 5 to show up. And let's be really honest. I'm a convicted bank robber and a heroin addict. You show up at 5 o'clock and I'm not there, there's at least 1 or 2 people going, "Uh-oh, oh no, well, what happened?" So by the time that live feed started last night, I was a wreck. When that live feed was over, I went and ate, and then I just went to bed like 6 o'clock. I just went up and laid down, and I went through my entire bag of tricks. I laid there. I put background noise on. I put all of the I went through all my bag of tricks. I put on white noise. I put on everything, and in my subconscious. And the longer you're sober, if you're new to the sobriety thing, then this is something that may not you may not be as familiar with. But the longer that you're sober, the better your brain gets at coping with things when you're asleep. And that's a nice way of saying that your dreams will take on a life of their own. And one of the few side effects of Suboxone, daily usage of buprenorphine, is that it makes your dreams vivid. That's how it's even written in the literature. One of the side effects is vivid dreaming. Well, last night was vivid dreaming. And my dad was in 90% of the dreams I had last night. And I would wake up after each one. It was just a really odd night. It was great. I mean, I didn't have a dream that upset me. It was really pretty pleasant stuff. But then I came down this morning. You see the thumbnail. It was a very cheery, you know what? It's a new day, people. I'm going to come down and then I get stuck in OBS. And I'm reading emails from Mark that said, you got to stop saying that you're stupid. You got to stop saying that he's like, I'm going to have Mama Scoville slap you. And Mark is really stepping up to the plate to try to help. But with all of that, and I'm like, he's right. I got to stop doing that. And then I managed to spend 35 minutes unable to turn on a live feed. There are going to be days like this. Sometimes 5 of these days are going to get linked together. And sometimes you just got to cry. And sometimes you got to, sometimes you just got to fight through the next hour. I'm in no danger of using dope. I'm not. Whether you believe that or not, ever. I am a recovered heroin addict. I am never in any danger of using dope. I am in danger of so many other things. And I don't even mean relapsing or anything like that, but I mean, I have the ability to melt down in ways that are just embarrassing, even if I'm alone. And I know my brother Johnny is, with all due respect, worse than me. This is just something that the two of us have. And boy, oh boy, if the both of us are in the same situation, for years, Johnny and I worked together, and we had a couple of epic meltdowns. I know I've told the story on the lifeboat before, but Johnny and I bought a boat big enough to live on. We had never actually sailed a boat, but we bought one, and there was this moment of, holy crap, this is ours, and the guy was like, all right, we're going to bring another boat into that slip, so you guys kind of have to have that out of there by such and such a time, because it's like a used car lot, you know what I mean? But they're selling boats, and we had to jump in here, fire this thing up, back it out, drive it away, and boats are not super complicated, and sailboats are a little different than motorboats. But we managed to get this boat stuck literally 14 or 15 feet away from where we bought it. Just the whole concept of red right return and boat channels and all that, no clue on any of it. So when we finally got the boat far enough out where we were like, at least no one can see us looking like idiots, we turned the seacock. This is the device that allows water to flow into the engine. So for all intents and purposes, it's a cork, right? Like in the cartoons, you pull the cork out of the bottom of the boat and the boat sinks. Okay, well, the pitcock is like a cork, but it allows water to flow through the engine. It is the radiator for all intents and purposes. It's what cools the engine. And I said to Johnny, just go down and turn that off, because we had just killed the engine. I said, so just go, and he went, snap, and the whole thing snapped off, and water about this big just started going straight up. And you talk about two dudes melting down. It was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable. That's the danger in my life. The danger in my life is that I literally can get pissed off enough to shatter a coffee cup in my hand, like that kind of stupidity. And I'm going to have days, people, where you're going to turn on the lifeboat and go, yeesh, I'm not a guru. I'm not a guru. I'm a drug addict that read a lot of books, who's halfway articulate. And when the monkeys on your back make you feel like a jungle gym, you just have to go bananas. Well, yeah. If you sent me messages last night, I didn't see them. I've literally been in bed since from 6 o'clock to 4 a.m. I couldn't cope. The beautiful thing is, if no matter how much of an ass you can make of yourself, no matter how bad life gets, and it's going to get bad. It's going to get so bad, and it's going to be beautiful. There are going to be moments that are so fantastic. There are going to be moments that the pathos and the life can really suck. And sometimes I find myself talking about just how bad life sucks a lot. And on days like that, I should be talking about the sunrise. I should be talking about my son or my daughter or your son or your daughter. It is so easy to get wrapped up, right? Let's see. 33 minutes into this show. Have I said anything good? But that's the nature of what it means to be in recovery, or recovered for that matter. We remove the drugs, right? I had a friend that used to say, do you know the difference between a sober person and someone who isn't? I said, no. Same asshole, less dents in your car. Which, there's really something to that, right? We got rid of our number one coping mechanism. Right? That's what we did. We got rid of our number one coping mechanism, which is good because our number one coping mechanism causes a landslide of things to disrupt your life, put you in prison, cause divorces, turn you into a dishonest person. But that is our number one coping skill. Hence addiction, right? This is what makes you an addict. All of the problems don't go away. They don't go away. The only thing that goes away is your ability to cope with them. So you need a bag of tricks. And I was coming on last night to say, boy, I really had to dip into that bag of tricks last night. And then I just couldn't get over missing my dad. I'm not ashamed of crying. I'm ashamed of doing a bad show. There was so much I would have liked to have said about all of the things that happened to me yesterday, but it hit me like a ton of bricks that, and I'm not going to lose it today. I promise you I'm not, because I've had considerably more time to get a grip on it. But he was the best man I ever met. Really. Johnny and I together aren't half the man my dad was. And as I promised him before he died, I would never eulogize him without also explaining that he also had the same disease that my brother and I had, not addiction, rage. And he was never going to hit you. He was never going to be that kind of, he internalized it. You could just see him getting the smallest things in the world really pissed him off. Waiting at a stop sign for 3 minutes because of how many, or a stoplight for 3 minutes or whatever. He didn't like traffic. There were things that just really set him off. The difference between he and I is that when life was at its worst, he was at his best. No matter how bad things got, like when it really got bad, the teeny stuff, a fly flying on top of a ketchup jar at a picnic could drive my father into absolute insanity. But if the police were showing up with a search warrant, or if you found out you had an illness, that I had a couple of medical conditions that I don't talk about on the boat because they're nobody's business, and because I don't want the lifeboat to become a medical show. But I had a couple of really rowdy medical conditions happen to me at a younger age. And they're the kind of things where you go and you tell your family and everybody just melted down. It was the kind of thing where, maybe Tommy's not going to be around forever. Like, it was a scary kind of a diagnosis. And I walked in, and everybody began to melt down in their own way except him. He just became the calmest. I've told the story before, and it will destroy me if I try to tell it again. And since I spent the entire day yesterday crying, perhaps today isn't the day to tell it. But when I was a fugitive from justice with a $500,000 warrant, and I was flying back into town, and I just knew the rage that he was going to be in. I knew that this was going to be something that was going to devastate him, and he was going to be so pissed off. And I was getting off of an airplane in a day and age where people could still wait in inside airports, right, before all of the Patriot Act and 9/11 and all of that. And I was the last person on the airplane because I did not want to get off. I knew I was facing my dad. I had gone on the run. I had drug charges and all of these just terrible, terrible things. And I looked through the window, and there were people carrying signs and balloons and all of that. And I thought, that would be nice. It would be really nice to come home to that. But I was coming home from jail and had been sprung out of jail by my family to come home on a fugitive from justice warrant. And then I had 24 hours to get to another state to face a $500,000 bond. That it was just devastating. And I was wearing clothing that I had bought at the Salvation Army. I had a drug partner that I was living with at the time who, when I went to jail, stole all of my money. Forgiven long ago, person that I care about. But I got thrown in jail. I had been working like a slave because I was on the run, and I was hiding, and I had hustled and conned and dealt drugs and stolen and everything I could do. Had real jobs to get about $4,000 put together. And when I got out of jail, it was gone. And all I had was a pair of Converse high top Chuck Taylors and a shirt and a pair of shorts. I owned nothing else in the world. And when I got off the plane, the people holding the signs and the balloons were for me. It was a ridiculous experience. Because I just did not for a second think that I was getting a welcome home. And I went up to and I hugged my dad, and I said, "Oh, I'm so effing sorry." You know what I mean? Like, you don't know. And he said, "Hey," he said, "we're going to kill the fatted calf. My son is home." My brother and I together are not half the man my dad was. We're not. We're trying. I promise you. We're trying. And I think we're moving in the right direction. But days like yesterday, as bad as they are, some of the shittiest days of your life are going to bring things into focus if you journal. If you just get, like when I say yesterday, I just went up and passed out after dinner. I went up and journaled and then passed out after dinner. Because unloading these things in your mind, if not, you just have a soup of crap and you go to bed and you don't know why. And you didn't learn anything from it. I learned a lot yesterday. And some of it's really painful. But I learned a lot yesterday. And I hope at some level I'm going to be a better man for it. I've got issues. I have other issues. I've got some health issues, right? And we've talked about them on the boat. I've got some health issues. So I've got some things I'm struggling with. And some of them flare up and require, and require immediate attention. I'm not dying or anything like that, but but I've got some issues, you know what I mean? Like I took a lot of shots to the head, and don't miss an opportunity to turn a shit day into a learning experience. Just like there are good relapses and there are bad relapses. Crappy days can be cathartic. They can cause epiphanies, right? You can learn more on a bad day than you will learn on 500 excellent ones. But if you don't write it down, if you don't process, maybe that should be the takeaway of today. We don't process things like normal people. We get high. Normal people sit down and they go through things and they go, oh, well, maybe I made a mistake here, or maybe I did this. We get high, right? That's how we cope when we can't cope, when we feel uncomfortable, whatever, we get high, or we get loaded, or we get whatever, right? On the days that suck, and I'll be honest, this morning has not been a good start, right? Yesterday started to flow into this morning when I couldn't master the ability to turn on a streaming service that I have successfully turned on now about 40 times. I haven't been using this the entire time I've been on the boat, but I've been using it about 40 times. And this morning, I couldn't get it to work. When I'm done with this, I'm going to go do an info dump. I'm going to go and get everything out of my brain. If you don't take the time to try to learn, then you're going to be the same jackass tomorrow that you are today. I hope that by church tomorrow, the last day and a half will have dramatically changed my life. That's my hope. Without pen and paper, or in my case, stylus and computer, there's no hope of that. There's no hope of that. I will be destined to repeat the same kind of things again and again and again. Do I think that someday I'm going to master the ability to never rage and I don't yell, I don't throw things. I mean, truthfully, I joke about throwing things. If no one's around, I might. But I don't let my anger affect others too often. And sadly, the ones that are affected by it are the people that I love the most. Because you're open enough in front of them that they get to see that. Pretty sad, isn't it? But that's kind of the way it works. If you're a stranger, I'll pretend that I'm a better person. If you're Fiona, you'll probably have to listen to me lose my stuff. But that's kind of the nature of that kind of stuff. Sorry. If burning weed gets you from the point of losing your stuff, if burning weed keeps you from getting to the liquor store, it does plenty. Then sit down and do all of the other stuff, right? Journal, work, right? This is a nonstop self-exploration. But I got no issue with weed if it keeps you from going to the liquor store. Pretty damn good stuff if it keeps you from going to the liquor store. I think in a perfect world, and this is just my opinion, and I could be wrong as hell. But I'd like to think it's a ripcord. I'd like to think that, it's you keep in a jar by the door until you feel like I'm going to the liquor store. Grab that jar. Ideally, I don't think anything should be now instead of me snorting cocaine 24 hours a day, I'm going to drink 24 hours a day, right? That's probably not a great trade-off. But if instead of doing cocaine 24 hours a day, when I'm thinking about going to see the dope man and I'm really close, I'm going to drink 2 glasses of wine. If that's about all you use it for, that's probably a pretty damn good thing, isn't it? But sadly, often, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. And we don't moderate much very well. That's kind of the nature of drug addiction in general. We don't moderate well. There is something about writing with a pen and paper for me, just as reading the word by holding my Bible versus reading it. Yeah. Reading it in, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's like a Kindle or a Fire or something like that. You know what? I was like that. I really prefer pen and paper. I just, there are times that I use the stylus. Usually, like my morning dumps will go on paper, but the which sounded really funny. The when I do my morning journaling, it's often on paper because usually I'm sitting here. At night, I'm usually right next to the bed, and I usually have two tablets on the bed because I'm getting prepared for tomorrow, and things like that. But but I stopped bringing a Bible to church a while ago, and it felt really weird the first couple of times that I do it. But I have this Bible app, and I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but I have this Bible app that allows me to get, sometimes the minister at the church that I go to will jump from one place to the other, right? Like we'll be in First John, and then, he's going to take you to Acts because there's a reference, or he'll take you to the Old Testament because it's prophecy, and I can just go tap 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 tap, like I'm, instead of trying to go through there with, and I people again hyperthesmia, right? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, First and Second Samuel, First and Second Kings. Like I know the entire Bible, right? There's no issue with that, but yet still getting my thumb to try to get me to the right place sometimes is very difficult. I can recite all of the books of the Bible and I know their order, and I know, but I'm really quick with the phone to do it. Makes life kind of easy. No, it's not the one. You know what, Fiona? Maybe it is. I don't know. It's it's basically just and I don't want to run off everyone who's not religious. It's just a Bible, basically, is what it is. You and I were working on ones that had studies and everything else. This is just a Bible. Full of hope. Yeah, Squirrel would be really angry if I used her litter box. Squirrel's not big on sharing. The moral of the story is, don't let a bad day go to waste. I think I've let a lot of bad days go to waste. And I'm learning every day. I really am. I wish I could live to, 110, because I think I might actually master this thing, or at least get close. I think if I could live maybe 100 years, I could actually be a guru. Sadly, I don't have 100 years left to live, so I'm going to struggle. I'm going to struggle more than all of you. I guarantee it. I'm not a guru. I'm going to struggle more than all of you. You want a guarantee? I'm never going to get high. I might cry. I might get really pissed. But I'm going to try to learn every single time that happens to me. I'm going to write it down. If what I'm writing down doesn't make any sense, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to go back and I'm going to read it. The morning shows, people, are going to be just about the bread and butter stuff of staying sober. You're never going to hear me go off on a rant in the morning about legalization, about the government not doing anything at the border, anything like that. That will not happen in the morning. Doesn't always mean that every single night show is going to be like that, but there are going to be a lot of them that are. It's going to be a lot of them that are. They bring in people. I get 4-to-1 views. It brings people in. We need people, right? This battle requires people, more of them. Hey, Scoob. One moment, please. M. Hunt. I'm a big fan of the concordance. I'm a big fan in anything that annotates anything. Yeah. So The morning shows are going to be dedicated to sobriety, and the night shows are going to be my vision for what needs to happen to the entire world so that addicts can start getting treated like human beings, because that's important to me, and I know it's important to a lot of you. You may not want to hear it every day, but it's important. It really is. Thanks for your patience, people. Thanks for your patience on the days that I'm not 100. And there are going to be plenty of days I'm not 100. It's kind of the nature of the beast, isn't it? It really is. That's the nature of the beast. I am leaving as it is. I ran a little late. I'm going to miss a bit of the sunrise this morning, but I love you people. I really do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. I promise you I wouldn't. I mean, this is there's self-exploration and all of that, but the basis of the boat is love. And I really I've really gotten to the point where I love so many of you. You notice how bad cigarettes smell? Yeah. Scoob, you're funny. All right, peeps. Sadly, the morning crew doesn't get the squirrel. She hunts in the garage. She does the. It's time to try to rid the house of rodents in the morning. So but the night crew will get the cat in the basket. People, I will be back tonight. There's a really good chance I will be back tonight with Calhoun. I'm hoping to interview Calhoun. We're going to make sure we iron out any problems. He just bought some equipment so that he could do this. We just want to make sure all the equipment works. If it does, T. Tortoise Tiger prowls the garage to monopolize any rodents that are unlucky enough to see the tortitude. Well said. Not only is the man a musician, but he's a wordsmith. DJ Daddy-O, good to see you. I'll be reaching out to you shortly. I've done some research for you after my sunset and my sunrise and my journaling. I'll probably be shooting some info your way. People, I love you. I really do. It's sometimes it freaks me out how much you guys have come to mean to me. It's I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it's an odd thing. It's not something I ever saw coming. Patricia, you don't have to be sorry. The good news is this thing is on tape. You can always double back and hear me. Do my thing. All right, peeps. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. I'll see you this evening. Hopefully, there'll be 2 Scovilles this evening. All right. Between now and then, if you're having a bad day, learn from it, or at least try to. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. God bless.